Now, here we are. We are actually in studio here in Somerville. We taped in Milford, and we're going to show you some of the video that we taped. We had great taping there for Sira Naturals. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be interviewing a couple of guests, along with Gabe Camacho and Dwan Packnett and Michelle Foley. But before we do that, one thing I want to say is I want to thank everybody who watches the show and our subscribers on YouTube channel, as well as the Somerville Media Center. The show's been a very long in the making. I can tell you, we started this going back in 2020 when I first met a couple of people from that were representing Sira Naturals. I was incredibly intrigued by it, to tell you the truth. I was with Somerville Stands Together at the time in the meeting. And what really intrigued me was actually the unionism of the employees and Sira Naturals. And I just thought it would be a wonderful thing to have on the Somerville Labor Show. And then what happened was it just ended up that it kind of broadened, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it turned out to be a 4-hour taping out at Sira Naturals, and they were very gracious, and we appreciated it, and many, many conversations about this. And this is it's got so many legs to it. There's so many things here. So I hope you enjoy our show. And so in short, we are very determined to have this show, and we are going to have it today. And we'll be bringing on our guest, and here they are. All right, so here we are, finally. This has taken so long for us to do this, but we are very excited to do it. I have Gabe Camacho from Local 1445, Dwan Packnett from Sira Naturals. I also have Michelle Foley here. And Dwan, let's see, long title, VP of Government Relations and Community Investment for Sira Naturals. And guest Michelle Foley, who is the director, retail director of all the Massachusetts Sira Naturals dispensaries. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You had so much patience. Nobody knows what's going on as they watch this show, but Gabe's had patience. We've all had patience. A lot of technical things go on when you produce these shows. Can you tell me, Dwan, what is exactly that long title? Tell me a little bit about that and maybe some of your background.
Okay, so I'm the Vice President of Government Relations and Community Investment, and basically my job is to I work with licenses, and when we go in and work in communities to make sure that we are community partners with the government, with the folks in the community, to really establish a place and to be responsive to the things that the folks in the community may need. And to also educate folks about cannabis. It's a very new industry, and it's letting folks know we think of it as an economic engine. And so it's really coming in to let people know what we do. My background, I'm a lawyer, but I work for the city of Boston, as a matter of fact, in the Department of Neighborhood Development. I was responsible for the first-time homebuyer program. Wow. And for 2014 through about 2017, and then I worked in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development when Mayor Walsh was the mayor, and I did that up until I came to Sira Naturals.
We could use you here in Somerville. I want a municipal housing trust fund for our members. And,
well, we can work collaboratively, and that may be something our community, our community aspects seriously.
That's what we're doing.
That may be something we can work on.
That is what we're doing. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I know there's a lot of outreach with Sira Naturals. Michelle, same question to you. Your background, and give us just a little about what you're actually doing with the with the retail and and all the dispensaries.
So I've been with Sira Naturals for about 4 years now,
okay.
And I'm the director of retail operations. So that really encompasses everything retail related. So all of the product ordering, product assortment, hiring of the teams, all the trainings of the teams, customer service, which is extremely important to us, and all the operations, right? So there's a lot of we're obviously extremely regulated, so that requires a lot of software and processes and SOPs. So really ensuring that our dispensaries are very efficiently run to ensure that we're good partners in the community. It's everything retail related. Currently oversee our Somerville and our Needham dispensary, and soon we'll be overseeing also our new Boston store and Watertown store as well.
Well, this is a whole new industry because when I just wanted to have some people come in and talk to them about legal cannabis in Somerville. That's all I wanted to do. And then suddenly it just had this thing where it just expanded. In my brain, I kept thinking, there's more to it, there's more to it. And this industry is, I still think it's brand new, it's in its infancy.
It is.
In my opinion. From looking afar, I don't really know much about it, but I'll know a lot more after I speak even more about this with both of you. So let me just start with a couple of questions here. So I'll start with you, Michelle, because as what date did Sira Naturals able to set up shop and sell to the public? I guess you both know that in Somerville. What date was that?
So we opened in September of 2017 and started selling cannabis to medical patients in Somerville.
Okay. And the next question I have here is, what attracted your company to Somerville for a medical dispensary?
Yeah, so the city of Somerville has been extremely welcoming to us. Everyone from local government, local businesses, obviously the residents of Somerville, and so we're extremely proud to serve this community and provide medical cannabis to the patients of Somerville.
So what you tell me is it's a happening place.
Yep.
Because I know it is. I know it is.
It is.
There's a lot going on here, right, Dwan? I mean,
Yes.
you've been here. You know the lay of the lay of the land.
And I live close by, I live in Brighton, so I'm not far away. at all.
Exactly. So, so the other locations, where are they?
So we have 2 facilities, soon to be 3, in Milford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that is everything from cultivation. So that's where all the products are made. So essentially, it all starts with the plant, right? So all the plants are grown in Milford. We also have a full kitchen, extractions kitchen there. A full kitchen for edibles, and then also an extractions facility as well. So that's where all the products are produced. And then we also have another medical dispensary in Needham, Massachusetts.
Okay. So me and Jude were here, right? Jude's here with me. Jude did the video, and Brian also did the B-roll. And we were so fortunate to go in and see all this and interview everybody. And I hope people at home, please don't worry, because we're going to get you some videos here, and you're going to love what you're going to see, and you're really going to enjoy it, because it's really cutting edge as far as I'm concerned, because I love it.
I think it's difficult to understand the enormity of the cannabis industry until you go to a facility like Milford.
Yeah.
It changes your entire perspective.
It really did. I came out and I was kind of disheveled, obviously, because I had my thing in my head, and we were running around. We were so excited, and Calrio had us going from one room to another and all of that. But I'm telling you, it was a happening thing for us. We really enjoyed it. So how did Sira Naturals come to be what it is today? Because I know early on it had a different name, Sage, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Sira Naturals, we've always been, we have built our company on really the quality of the plant, because it's all about what's in the box, right? Not the packaging, it's the quality of the flower that we grow, and that's where it all starts. So not only speaking to the quality of our products, but the quality of our service, the quality of our stores, the quality of our establishment, our Milford facility, which you saw.
Yeah.
So we've always stood for quality, and I think also just professionalism. Our SOPs, again, what I just said about being a good partner in the communities that we're in. And so that's really what we've stood for from day one.
So my understanding is that Sira Naturals is going to have some serious growth.
Correct.
Something's going to be happening here, something big. There's M1, M2, M3. Dwan, what is M1, M2, and M3? Can you tell us what that is? Because for the people back home.
Well, it's just really grow facilities, and it's a grow facility for Milford 1, Milford 2, and Milford 3, and Milford 3 being the largest one that Michelle described.
So is Milford 1 the administrative building, or is Milford?
Right, that's the one on Commercial Avenue when you come in, and it's changed a lot now that we're building M3. It's changed a great deal and been more oriented toward employees and workers, and making sure that that's a better experience. You're not quite as crowded.
Yes, and I had the pleasure of going in those offices as well and meeting some very professional people. I enjoyed my time there for about a half an hour before I went over to the facility.
M1 is our original cultivation facility.
Really?
Yeah. So M1 is where we started growing the plants, started doing extractions, and then the kitchen for edibles. And then as we started to grow, our retail footprint and also our wholesale footprint, there was a need for more cannabis.
Right.
So that's when we built M2 and started growing cannabis out of that facility. So we currently have those we call them M1 and M2, so Milford 1, Milford 2, and then
Right.
soon M3, which will be the biggest facility of the.
And that was in my opening.
Yeah.
We had, when we first got done with the tour, I stood in front of that, and I think it's going to be about 90,000 square feet. No, 90, is it 900,000? I'm sorry, 900,000. Something like that, right? The M3?
So we can have 100,000 square
total.
feet
100,000,
total.
okay. More impressive.
Between the three, but yes, it is very big.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to it. I got to tell you, I want to come back out and see what's going on out there. So, due to the expansion of the M3 building, how many good-paying union jobs are we looking at? You notice I said good-paying union jobs because we have Gabe over here, and I'm wondering how many jobs you think you'll have out of it, will be coming out of that?
Yeah, so between the third production and cultivation facility and the 2 new stores that we are opening early next year, we're going to more than double our workforce in the next,
And what would
6
that
to
be?
8 months.
Give me a number.
So
Approx.
we'll be hiring approximately 250 employees
Wow.
plus.
That's a lot of people.
Very soon.
A
So
lot of people.
good-paying union jobs, people like myself and Dwan, people who have transferable skills into the cannabis industry, we are looking for them.
Well,
so.
we're here in Somerville right now, opportunities in Somerville. We'd love to have some of those opportunities here as well. So, Gabe?
Yes.
Welcome to the show. Okay, welcome to the show.
Good to be back.
Say hello to Dwan, say hello to Michelle. You guys know each other?
We haven't met, but I know Dwan and we've worked together and it's been a good relationship.
It certainly has. Thank you for all that you've done for us. It's been terrific. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Who would have thought, Gabe, that UFCW, which is it mostly the food service? It started as the food service workers, correct?
Yes, it did, but we started in UFCW as an institution started in Massachusetts in 1938
Wow.
in the food and distribution industry and in retail. So since then, we have expanded to industrial laundries, warehousing, food distribution, and of course supermarkets. We're very well known in Massachusetts as the face of Stop and Shop workers, but also retail outlets like Macy's and etc.
And by the way, congratulations on the Stop and Shop about a year ago, getting that contract for those workers. I attended some of those pickets, and I think it was a masterful job done by all. Thank you very much for doing that.
I should say that we'll be entering into negotiations early next year, so we're going to need your help.
We'll be around. Don't worry about that. We'll be there for you. So how many people at Sira Naturals, how many workers, employees are in the union? Do you have an approximate number?
I have an exact number. Right now, in Sira Naturals, who we have under a collective bargaining agreement is 157 employees.
Wow.
These are employees that do everything from cultivation, production, processing, packing, delivery, and dispensary work. These are not all the official job or technical job titles. They're more like broad categories of who we have under contract.
How about on the administrative side? Anything like that?
No, we stay with the NLRB rules in which management is
Yeah, I know. I got it. I had to ask.
bargaining unit.
I had to ask. I know. I get that whole part of it.
I've
So,
been asking Dwan to join the union, but
hey, look at Dwan Packnett did a lot of that when he left office as governor. A lot of people became union members. So I also want to discuss the employment and unionization for the employees and how did this thing come about? I guess maybe you guys can kind of discuss this and collaborate on this because I'm wondering how this all happened. Was it that Sira Naturals, management Sira Naturals thought it was important to provide a union shop for their workers? Was this kind of like a mutual thing, Gabe, to your knowledge?
I would say it was mutual. And let me say that the relationship between Sira Naturals and UFCW predates me working with UFCW 1445. UFCW nationally has a cannabis division. and it's been organizing cannabis workers throughout the country for a number of years. It first started in the West Coast, where the industry is far more mature than it is here in the East Coast. So that's where we had our first cannabis collective bargaining agreements and union organizing drives. So nationally, we represent thousands of cannabis workers throughout the country. Here in Massachusetts, hundreds, including other companies that are not Sira Naturals. I would like to say that Sira Naturals is a cannabis company that is truly dedicated to equity. That's how our relationship started. Our local's elected and appointed leadership are immigrants and people of color. We come from over-policed communities, and as such, we are disproportionately affected by the so-called war on drugs. We partnered with Sira Naturals because they have a very strong equity program. They just don't put that in their rhetoric or in their license applications. They really, really do apply that when it comes to employment and upward mobility. So we entered into a labor peace agreement with Sira Naturals. A labor peace agreement basically is an agreement between an employer and a union where the employer agrees to remain neutral during an organizing drive, and in turn the union will agree not to conduct any picketing, hand-billing, or any job actions. In this way, there's a level playing field with the employer and the union, and ultimately the workers themselves will decide without interference on whether to unionize or not.
Well, that makes perfect sense. So I want to ask Dwan the same question. I guess this was a mutual agreement, and was this something that the founders wanted to have?
So, yeah,
yes. Is that the discussion?
If I can explain a bit,
sure,
Michelle can jump in here.
Yeah.
But basically, around 2019, like Gabe, I started in October 2019. And this was kind of in the works when I was starting. And that had a lot to do with our affiliation with Air Wellness. It was Air Strategies at the time. And when they came in and helped us to grow, they were the start of us growing. One of the things they created was this department, the Department of Government Relations and Community Investment, with the long name. They created that department, in large part understanding what it would take to actually get workers to come into the cannabis business. And I say this, as Gabe mentioned, that a lot of the folks who are in disproportionately impacted areas are people of color who have a lot of reason to be suspicious and skeptical of the cannabis industry. And so this was a really important pillar for Air and Sira when we started working together, and that's why we created the community investment I would say department, in the sense that we see it as an economic engine for anyone, frankly, but particularly for people of color. As Michelle mentioned, when we're looking at folks, we train folks. Michelle's team does an excellent job. You're coming in and you're learning a lot in a highly regulated industry that as cannabis opens up in other states, there's only several ways. There's a national way this sort of thing works. And frankly, we're also working with the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee with UFCW to come up with standardized training. So the cannabis industry allows for a lot of growth and activity if you know it exists.
Well, I'm going to be stealing some of those ideas, I got to tell you, because in Somerville, this is something that we need from municipal workers. We need to do things like that.
And so one of the things that we've been able to do, as I said, but you have to know it exists. And the problem you have is cannabis, for whatever reason, kind of popped up, as we've just said. It became this industry that's all of a sudden there. And a lot of people aren't aware, if you haven't been to a Milford, you don't realize that this is an industry that's growing. You don't realize the sophistication of what Michelle's team does in retail, and the inventory and the tracking and the skills that you need with computers. You don't realize the security skills.
Well, and that's why we could do a documentary on this thing. I'm telling you, man.
And we
I was
should.
like,
Because, and one of the things I've been charged with in our department is getting the attention of people in communities, because you don't need a lot. If you're trained, these are skills that you may have already that can easily get you started in this industry.
So really what we're looking at, I'm going to discuss this again later on, I'm sorry to say, but it's a transitioning, job transitioning, retraining experience for people. Things that they've never done before, things that they never thought they could do, that you're training people on, which I think is pretty amazing, actually. You know.
And the beauty of this is, as cannabis opens up in other states, once you have the skills, when you're going into the state where no one knows how cannabis works, you become very valuable if you know how to run a store, if you've been the person who did the inventory, if you know how to set up grow rooms. I mean, these skills are very valuable, and that is for the first time. It's an industry where there is growth, and we're at the very beginning, as you mentioned,
infancy.
the very beginning.
Yeah.
Just imagine the creativity all that happens with folks who are out here now to look at this in 10 years. I prefer to look at it the way we looked at computers starting, having been older and been around in the 80s when they started with personal computers. When you think of people like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they quit college. They didn't go to Harvard to sit in their garage and figure out how to get into this new computer industry. I believe that cannabis is very similar, and that you have an opportunity by coming to places like Sira Naturals to learn how this is done, to start a new career in a new industry.
Yeah, I think that's well stated. I think that really does kind of like, it kind of wraps up what some of my thoughts, but I can't say it as well as you can. It was very elegant. Thank you very much.
And if I can add something, I'm sure they were smoking something when they were coming up with these new ideas. sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. We knew that was going. Look at Gabe. We knew that was going to come up in this conversation, so that's okay.
So I will say really quickly on the union that I was with Sira when we partnered with UFCW, and I'm just really proud to be the first cannabis company in Massachusetts to voluntarily unionize. I think it's great for our workers.
So is that true? This is the first?
Correct.
Sira Naturals is the first?
Yeah,
Okay.
to voluntarily
All right.
unionize in the
All
state
right.
of Massachusetts.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Gabe. I'm not going to say we, because I'm not, I mean, I have a union that I represent, but does the Sira Natural employees have a full contract?
Yes, absolutely. In one facility where we have the 157 workers, we have a contract with Sira Naturals that has been ratified that includes general wage increases, vertical mobility, health insurance, grievance and arbitration procedures, union representation at the job site, non-discrimination clauses, 401ks matching up to 4% of your salary, 50% discount on Sira Naturals products and 20% discount on external products, and many other economic and non-economic provisions. So yes, we do have a very strong union contract that was overwhelmingly ratified by the members.
Okay, how long is that? When does it expire?
I believe it's 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I won't ask the details of the incremental raises or anything like that, but I'm sure everything sounds great. I'm a little jealous.
Well, if we can say, and if all of that sounds good to folks, that we are hiring, we are expanding,
Yeah.
so please consider
Yes.
that.
Okay.
And come and talk to us.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
seriously.
I mean, that's definitely something. It sounds like it's really a pretty. It's a groundbreaking thing. It's a new thing. It's a happening thing right now. One thing I want to mention. I interviewed. Well, I just walked around the facility, Gabe. I mean, that's what I did. Jude was filming with Brian. We were walking around the facility. Cabaret was with us. She was great, letting us, knocking on doors and rattling cages, saying, hey, come on, let us in. We want to talk to you guys. We had great conversations with people, and we just learned about the backgrounds and the types of people that they are and where they came from. And I thought about this whole thing as I was speaking to them, and I said to myself, this is an amazing workforce training opportunity, as we just discussed, right? And it's kind of like a green job, in a way, to me. Because over here in Somerville, I think Gabe probably might know, he's familiar with Somerville Stands Together. We've been talking for 3 or 4 years now about good jobs and the Green New Deal. And is it going to come to fruition? Is it going to happen? And it seems like we're on the brink of something happening here with a lot of money beginning to roll in. And it's just amazing that this green new industry is coming. and we're going to be part of it. And that's why I think that the jobs that I saw at Sira Naturals, they're producing green new jobs because that's cutting edge. They're in now. This is starting to happen. It's a new industry. So transitioning from, let's say, a fossil fuel job or someone who got laid off as a chef, and everything closed down on these people during this pandemic. And that was still a variant, by the way. I want to let everybody know that because I want to be timely. So that's pretty amazing in itself. Do you have any comments on that? As far as, how do you feel about that as a green new job?
Sure. I wanted to say that in organizing cannabis workers and the employees that Sira Naturals hires, you can tell that these workers truly believe in what they're doing. They believe that the cannabis industry is part of a social justice movement. Workers tend to be younger. Workers tend to have alternative ideas. And I would like to say that it's been a pleasure organizing these workers. And for us, at the state level, whether it's Massachusetts, Connecticut, Colorado, California, the legalization of cannabis industry is a true victory for economic and social justice. I want to let you guys know that at the end of August of this year, the Cannabis Control Commission here in Massachusetts announced that this industry has reached the $2 billion mark in gross revenues. What that means is that there are economic opportunities for workers here in Massachusetts who have been impacted by the war on drugs, who work in underserved communities, and can get training and work at a place where there's upward mobility as well as union representation. $2 billion, I have to repeat, that surpassed expectations of all industry experts.
And
So that is happening here in Massachusetts.
And I want to say one thing too, because I haven't gotten into the whole recreational part of it, because this is limited to medical, right?
No, I'm speaking about recreational.
Oh, you're speaking of, okay, all right, okay, good. I appreciate you correcting that, thank you. So, in closing, in your segment, right, what I want to say is that I think I interviewed, there's a gentleman background, he was a chemical manufacturer. We had one work for a frozen beverage company at some point in time.
And this was at our Milford
Yeah, in the
facility,
Milford site, yeah. We had a couple Whole Foods workers, a former chef, and he was running that trim machine. Was it the Mobius? Is it called the
Yep,
Mobius
Mobius.
machine? We're going to show, I'm telling you, we're going to show you guys all of this. You're going to see it. But this part, for the purpose of this part of the education that we're trying to give you here, but this is really an amazing tour. Gabe, I want to thank you very much. We're going to end this part of it with you, and thank you very much for coming in. And we're going to continue with Dwan and Michelle.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. I'm sorry we kept you so long. Thank you.
Gabe,
you,
it was
Gabe.
great seeing you again.
Always.
All right,
Take
thank you,
care.
Gabe.
Bye.
Very gracious. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, and don't forget to vote on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Already voted.